The world is once again holding its breath. As Washington and Tehran inch toward another round of nuclear talks, two global powers have stepped forward with a message that could change everything. China is warning against force.
Russia is talking about time bombs, and Iran is sending signals that are both conciliatory and deeply defiant at the same time. This is not just another chapter in the Iranian nuclear saga. This is a moment where one wrong move could redraw the balance of power across the entire Middle East. China's message was clear and deliberate. Speaking in Beijing, Assistant Foreign Minister Liu Bin told Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister that Tehran has a legitimate right to the peaceful use of nuclear energy. But Beijing went further. It warned explicitly against military force, sanctions, and escalation. In diplomatic language, this was China pushing back against pressure, especially pressure coming from the United States and its allies. Beijing is positioning itself as a defender of diplomacy, while quietly challenging Washington's approach to Iran. This matters because China is not a neutral observer. It is Iran's largest trading partner, a major buyer of Iranian oil, and a strategic rival of the United States. When China speaks like this, it is not just defending Iran. It is defending a multipolar world where U.S. pressure no longer goes unanswered. At the same time, Russia is sounding the alarm, and in much starker terms. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has described the situation between Iran and the United States as no longer merely tense, but explosive. His warning is blunt. The Middle East is littered with what he calls time bombs, waiting to be triggered by a single misstep. Russia insists it does not want to impose itself as a mediator between Iran, Israel, or the United States. But Moscow also makes it clear that the consequences of failure would extend far beyond Tehran. A regional war, Lavrov suggests, would not stay contained. This is important. When both China and Russia publicly warn about escalation, it signals that the world's major powers see the risk of conflict as real, not theoretical. Behind the scenes, something even more significant may be unfolding. According to a report by the New York Times, Iran has reportedly agreed to discuss not only its nuclear program, but also its missile capabilities and its ties to militant groups, long-standing demands from Washington. If true, this would represent a major shift, but Tehran immediately pushed back. Iranian officials denied the report outright, accusing Western media of bias and insisting there has been no change in Iran's position. This contradiction is telling. It suggests that real negotiations may be happening quietly, while both sides publicly posture for leverage. The talks themselves are set to take place in Oman, a country that has long played the role of discreet intermediary between Washington and Tehran. These discussions come after what appear to be calculated concessions on both sides. The United States has reportedly agreed to keep negotiations limited in scope, avoiding broader regional issues. Iran, in turn, has agreed to sit across the table from American officials, something that was far from guaranteed just weeks ago. But while diplomats talk, Iran's military is sending a very different message. In a carefully staged moment, Iran's top military commander entered an underground missile base operated by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Cameras followed him through tunnels carved into rock, revealing rows of weapons hidden deep beneath the surface. Then came the surprise. For the first time, Iranian state-linked footage showed a long-range Khorramshahr 4 missile, a heavy warhead system, inside an underground facility. The message was unmistakable. Iran's deterrent is real, hardened, and ready. But then something strange happened. The footage was never aired. Just hours later, Iranian state television abruptly pulled the report, citing national security considerations. Officials confirmed the inspection had taken place, but the images were withheld. This move was deliberate. The missile was shown just enough to be seen and then hidden again, a signal to adversaries without crossing a red line. Iran's military leadership then made its position crystal clear. Major General Abdul Rahim Mousavi declared that following the recent 12-day conflict, Iran had revised its defensive doctrine and transformed it into an offensive one. He emphasized rapid, far-reaching operations, asymmetric warfare, and overwhelmingly decisive strategies. In simple terms, Iran is saying this. If attacked, it will not just absorb the blow, it will respond hard, fast, and across multiple fronts. This is where the stakes become truly dangerous. As China urges restraint and Russia warns of catastrophe, another option has quietly resurfaced, one that could reshape the negotiations entirely. Russia has reopened the idea of removing Iran's enriched uranium. Moscow confirms that it previously offered to take Iran's enriched uranium stockpiles onto Russian territory, and that this offer has not been withdrawn. But it emphasizes that the decision rests entirely with Iran. This proposal is not new, but its timing is critical. Removing enriched uranium could reduce immediate nuclear risks and give diplomacy breathing room. It would also allow Iran to claim compliance without appearing to surrender. But Iran's response has been mixed. An advisor to Iran's supreme leader stated bluntly that there is no reason to transfer highly enriched uranium abroad ahead of high-stakes negotiations with the United States. He reiterated that Iran does not seek nuclear weapons, will not seek them, and will never stockpile them. However, he added something crucial. Any reduction in enrichment levels, such as diluting 60% enriched uranium down to 20%, would come at a price. And that price, he said, must be fully paid. This is the core of Iran's position. Concessions are possible, but only if the United States offers tangible compensation. Sanctions relief, guarantees respect. Iran also rejected the idea that Israel and the United States act independently. In Tehran's view, they are effectively one and the same. Any American strike, Iranian officials argue, would automatically involve Israel and would be met with a proportional response. Senior Iranian lawmakers have reinforced this stance. They insist that Iran will not retreat on uranium enrichment, missile development, or regional alliances. These are non-negotiable red lines. No rollbacks, no recognition of Israel. No unilateral concessions, and this is where the gap between the two sides becomes painfully clear. The United States wants limits, verification, and broader regional restraint. Iran wants recognition of its power, relief from sanctions, and security guarantees. China and Russia are urging diplomacy, but also preparing for failure. Because if these talks collapse, the consequences will not be confined to negotiating rooms in Oman. They will ripple through oil markets, regional alliances, and military calculations across the Middle East. This is not just about centrifuges or enrichment percentages. It is about who sets the rules in a world where American dominance is increasingly challenged. As negotiations begin, the path forward is narrow. One miscalculation, one provocation, one misunderstood signal could ignite a chain reaction no one can control. Once again, the world is watching. And the question is no longer whether a deal is possible, but whether time is running out.